Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be about how I got diagnosed with a papillary carcinoma in my thyroid. So I wrote a couple things down here about how all of this came about basically, and like the dates and times of how long this has taken to be almost at an endpoint. I am currently getting radioactive iodine therapy next Wednesday. Today is Wednesday the 24th. So next week on August 30th, I will be getting radioactive iodine therapy treatment. So I just want to define papillary carcinoma. I have a definition right here on my phone. It's the most common form of thyroid cancer and the most common form to result from exposure to radiation, and it appears as a regular or solid cystic mass or nodule in a normal thyroid. So on August 26th, 2015, so 2 years ago, I went to my gynecologist for a routine, annual checkup, and she was touching my neck, whatever, doing doctor things. And she's like, "Oh, did you realize that you have a bump here on your thyroid?" And I was like, "Well, no, 22 years, I've never had this issue." Well, 2 years ago I would have been 20. So 20 years ago, I never had this issue. So she was like, "Okay, well, just as a precaution, I want you to get an ultrasound, just go make sure everything's okay." So I'm like, "Great, now what, So then the next day, on August 27th, I went and got an ultrasound, and sure enough, there was something there. So I later got a biopsy, which came out as a fluss. So basically it was just it could be something, it couldn't be something, we don't really know, but it's not positive, so we're not going to do anything about it. So I was like, alright, well, I guess, whatever, it's fine. When I went back a couple months later, January 11th, 2017, I got the ultrasound and biopsy done, and because they were unsure last time, they wanted to run more testing. So they wanted to run genomic testing, which sent it out for more testing, which took about 3 months. So after that 3 months, on March 17th, I went back to the ultrasound place, and they said that I have a 70% chance that it's positive. So I was like, well, a 70% chance or a 70% definitive answer that it is cancer? So they were like, we want to remove it because it's 70% positive, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, great, now I have to have surgery. Which I have had 2 surgeries in my life before, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me, but you're 20, I'm almost 22, almost 21 at the time, sorry. And I was just I just want to live my life. I don't want to be in a hospital all the time. I was very upset about the fact that I had something, it was just disturbing me, even though it was something so small and something so minute that could be easily fixed. I was just, I don't know, I don't want to start tearing up about it, but so April 3rd, I went back. I had another biopsy of my lymph nodes and the nodule that I had on my right side. And I had a mapping of my neck for surgery so that they could get a better look as to what was going on. So then about a week and a half later, on April 12th, I met with my surgeon. And then a month later, I had my first surgery. So I went in for my first surgery early in the morning. I think it was 6 a.m. We arrived at the hospital, and we were only going to remove my right side because, well, that was the only thing that was the issue, was my right side had a nodule on it. So I have a picture here of the thyroid and a nodule. So the plan was to just remove half. Is that half of it? So we were like, great, I can still live with one thyroid, be fully functional. Half of the thyroid can do work for one, so I won't have to be on any hormones. So I was like, this is great. So after I got out of surgery, I didn't want to stay overnight. I was like, this is just ridiculous. It's like an in and out hour procedure. I just want to go home. So my doctor was like, fine, you feel fine, you can go home. So I went home. I was prescribed, what was I prescribed? Codeine, like Tylenol with codeine. And when I got home, let's just say those pills weren't working for me. I was in excruciating pain. I was crying, and I have a very high pain tolerance. So my mother knew that like I wasn't okay because I was crying. I never cry. So the pain that I had was more muscular. It wasn't because of the surgery. It was like muscular pain, like in my neck and in my back, because I was so stiff that I guess I was afraid that I would like tear the stitches or whatever that I had. So I was very swollen. I was very just like irritated. I wasn't happy when I got home. So I was sleeping. I would wake up. I am a stomach sleeper. So for me, sleeping on my back was even more painful. Like adding on to the whole like swelling and like everything that I had going on after surgery. So I called the doctor the next day and I was like, you need to give me something stronger. I can't do this. And what did she give me? She gave me ibuprofen. So ibuprofen helped like with the swelling, whatever. Okay, fine. So I did feel better after taking the ibuprofen, but I was still very, very, very sore. And like, I never wanted to feel this pain like again in my life. So a week later, I went back for the follow-up on May 17th. And she was like, great, everything's great, this is great, fine, great. I went home, and I had an appointment with my endocrinologist a couple weeks later to monitor everything to make sure my levels were fine, my T3s, my T4s, how my left thyroid was functioning without the right side. So I went back on May 31st to meet my endocrinologist, and she suggested that I get blood work, blah, blah, blah. 2 weeks later, I think, because it had not been a full 6 weeks, they want you to wait 6 weeks after your surgery to measure your blood levels and all of that to see if you need to go on hormones. So because there was a positive margin in the isthmus, which is the middle part, there was a small positive margin on the isthmus when they removed my thyroid. So my endocrinologist wanted to run it through with a tumor board on what they thought we should go, like what they thought we should do from there on out. So I knew that it was going to take about 2 weeks, maybe 3, because of the way that the time fell for that meeting. So I went to Mexico with my mother to visit my family the week of June 23rd, I think it was. And she had never called me, nothing, and I figured, whatever, like, it's fine, I had gotten the blood work before I went to Mexico, too, so she told me she was going to call me when I was in Mexico, and I was like, it's fine, call me, let me know. So she called me my 7th day there. I was there for 9 days. She called me my 7th day, and she was like, well, everything is fine, but your levels are a little bit low, so she wanted to prescribe me 50 milligrams of levothyroxine. That's what I call it. Is it levothyroxine or levothyroxine? I'm going to call it levothyroxine. She wanted to give me 50 micrograms of that just to get things going, and I was like, alright. Then, after she ran it through with the tumor board, they thought that I should have the left side removed because of this positive margin in the middle where it was cut. So I was like, great, I have to have another surgery. And I was just like I was on vacation. Like, I don't want to hear that when I'm on vacation, but like I wanted to know, you know? So it was really hard for me finding out I was with my family that I hadn't seen in, I don't know, 9 years. It's been a long time since I last saw my family. So it was like a really emotional trip. the last couple days that I spent with them. But, so, we made appointments while I was on the phone with her to come in and, be seen. But, newsflash, my doctor that I had for my first surgery was on maternity leave. And I was like, great. So now I have to have a different doctor who, I really liked my first surgeon. She was great. And so that kind of worried me having a new doctor. But he was like the head of the department, so he was supposed to be great, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, all right, it's Yale. Like, I trust Yale. So I'll just go and see. So I got back from Mexico, and then on July 6th, I met my new doctor. And on that day, we had scheduled surgery for July 21st. And my endocrinologist had talked to me about radioactive iodine therapy and how that was a possibility for, depending on the results of my left thyroid when they took it out. So depending if it had cancer cells or such and such. So July 21st, I had my new surgery, my second surgery, of the left removal. So when I got back from Mexico, I was like, I start school in a month and a half. Like, when is all of this? It was 2 months maybe. 2 months. I'm like, when is all this supposed to take place? Because I can't do this during my last semester at school. So they're like, we're going to try to fit you in, like, as soon as possible. So when I went July 6th, I wanted to be having surgery, like, the next week in case I had to have radiation, because you need to wait 4 to 8 weeks after surgery. So I was like, that's going to fall perfectly, like, if I have surgery next week. So they couldn't schedule me for that next week, so I had to wait till July 21st for my second surgery. And when I had went on July 6th to meet my new doctor, he was like, let's do a laryngoscopy. And I was like, why? A laryngoscopy is when they stick a camera up your nose to look at your vocal cords. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with my vocal cords. Like, I can talk fine. This is how I talked before. No issues. Why are we doing this? And he was like, oh, this is just routine stuff. Like, your old doctor didn't do it. And I was like, no, because there was no need to. Like, my vocal cords are fine. So, on to surgery. He wanted me to stay overnight. And I was, like, dreading the thought of staying overnight in a hospital by myself. I'm not afraid of hospitals, but I'm just like, I want my bed, I want my dog, I just want to be in my home with my TV, my Xbox, like, I just wanted to be home. That's where I'm comfortable. And not irritated, like, at a hospital, it's just always irritating. You have to wake up, like, every 4 hours. You can't sleep for shit in a hospital. Like, I can't. So, I had the surgery. When I got out of my surgery, I felt fine. The first time I had a little bit of nausea. So, this time they gave me stuff in my anesthesia to reduce the nausea. I had none. I had to be on a clear liquid diet for, I think it was just a day. I don't remember now. I think it was just a day that I had to be on a clear liquid diet until I felt fine and had no nausea, whatever. So I stayed over that night, and everyone came and visited me, and it was fun, and like, I didn't sleep at all that day. So I was really tired at night, and I had to have blood work. They told me they were going to wake me up at midnight and at 4 a.m. And I was like, oh my god, like, are you serious? So they woke me up at midnight and then again at 4 a.m. And of course I had an elderly neighbor who was in, like, so much pain. So all I heard was her, like, screaming all night, moaning because she was in pain. And I was just like, please, God, get me through this. So I went home the following afternoon, and my pain was, like, gone. Like, I don't know if it was because of that first night that my pain was managed really well by hospital medication, because I think they gave me something stronger than the Tylenol with codeine. So that was really helpful. I was expecting to be in so much pain, and I was literally fine. Like, I felt like I just got my tonsils removed or something so, like, minute that it didn't really affect me. So I came home. I took a week and a half off of work, I believe, my job is like really flexible where I can do that kind of thing. I took a week and a half off. No lifting over 10 pounds, blah, blah, blah. That whole spiel. So when I went back after my surgery a week later on the 27th of July, they did the laryngoscopy again. And this time it wouldn't go up my nose. And I was just like, my vocal cords are fine, dude. Like, please, don't put me through this again. And sure enough, he did it again. So they had to get the baby, like, the little kid laryngoscopy that had the smaller camera to fit up my nose. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, what do you see? It's fine. I told you. So I came back on August 9th to see my endocrinologist again to talk about the radioactive iodine aspect of the treatment. And oh, I forgot. I had been my dose of the levothyroxine had been upped to 150 from 50 micrograms. So I've been on the 150 micrograms since July 21st. Okay, so at this point, I'm fine, I feel great, this is great, I'm living without a thyroid and being okay. I wasn't too tired. I was expecting to be really tired and have a lot of issues, but I've been pretty well. So when I went back on August 9th to see my endocrinologist, I hadn't had the blood work for the after 6 weeks of surgery yet. This was only 3 weeks after. So I went back, we talked about radioactive iodine. Excuse me. We talked about radioactive iodine and everything, keeping in mind that I start school 20 days from August 9th. So I was like, well, can we do it like now? Like, I know you have to be on a low iodine diet for 2 weeks before you start your radioactive iodine therapy dose. So I was like, we need to do this now. Like, you need to try to fit me in, because if not, I can't, like, I just can't. Like, I have way too busy of a semester to be going to the hospital every day. Because with this whole radioactive iodine therapy, it's a lot. Like, I'm gonna get into that in a minute, but oh man, like, that's what I've been going through this week. If you saw my first vlog with my first thyroid shot, like, let's just say you have to have a lot of patience. So we discussed, since I was going to be so busy in school, that we would wait until January. They recommend you do it within the first 3 months after surgery, but after, like, in the 6-month period after surgery, it's still just as effective. So I was like, well, we're going to have to wait until I'm done. My last day of school is December 20th or something like that. We'll do it after Christmas. So we're like, right after Christmas, great. But the way that the holidays fall, you have to be available, like, the office has to be open Monday, Tuesday to get your thyroid shot. So after Christmas, if we had started that Monday, they wouldn't have been open the next Monday or Tuesday because of New Year's Day. So we were like, okay, now we're pushing into the middle of January. Now it's Martin Luther King Day on a Monday or whatever. So all these holidays fall on a Monday, which made it impossible to schedule the radioactive iodine treatment to be 2 weeks consecutively. So I was like, whatever, as long as it's gonna help me, I'll wait till January. But ideally, I want it to be now. So she was like, all right, like, we'll see. I'll call my nurse. I'll ask her, like, what's going on with the schedule, see if we can fit you in. So I was like, great. She called me 2 days later. The next day or 2 days. And she was like, we got you all the appointments. You need to have it right now. So I was like, yes, this is great. I'm going to start right now with the low iodine diet, because it would have been in 2 weeks before I start school. So I was like, I'll be okay with missing 1 day of school. Well, it's technically 2, but 1 day I'm perfectly okay with in the beginning of the semester, because it's syllabus week. Like, you don't do anything. So I got all my appointments scheduled, great, and I went to meet my nuclear medicine doctor on August, let me look at my phone, August 15th. And she had explained to me everything about the whole radioactive iodine treatment, the low iodine diet, thyroid shots, all of that. So the schedule that they put me up for the next 2 weeks, I'm just gonna read it off my phone, because it's literally like 2 weeks of appointments. So the 15th, I met with nuclear medicine. I had started the low iodine diet on the 11th. On August 18th, I had to go for a pregnancy blood test because you cannot be pregnant or breastfeeding while you are on this therapy dose thing. So then this week, August 21st, I had my first thyroid shot. The next day, August 22nd, I had my second thyroid shot. Yesterday, August 23rd, I had a radioiodine dose for a whole body scan that takes place the next day, which is today, Thursday, August 24th. I had my whole body scan. And the results for that were really good because they said that I only had 0.29% like in me still. So I'm pretty sure that means I'm going to have like a lower radioactive iodine dose next week. So continuing on with my lovely schedule, Friday, August 25th, I need to have a thyroglobulin blood test and another pregnancy test. Then going on to next week, Monday, August 28th, I have my third thyroid shot. August 29th, Tuesday, I have my fourth thyroid shot. Wednesday, August 30th is when I get my radioiodine therapy dose, which is where you need to be in isolation for a couple days, however many days your doctor recommends to you. My doctor recommended me 3 days. So on September 1st, I can stop my low iodine diet because let me tell you, I'm so excited for this day. Like, I need dairy in my life. Like, you can, on the low iodine diet, I'll probably make another video on that. You cannot have dairy, you cannot have seafood, you cannot have sea salt, obviously because it's from the sea. Nothing from the ocean, okay? No soy products. And, like, you have to be careful when you go out to restaurants and eat processed foods, because you don't know if they have iodized salt in them. So you cannot have iodized salt. You can have sodium, you can have salt, just not iodized salt. So after I stopped the low iodine diet, 5 days later on September 6th, I go for another body scan to make sure that I'm cancer free. Praying that I have it in me to stay sane. And like, I'm just so tired of driving downtown in a parking garage and paying $3 every time. Okay, do you know how much money I've spent this week? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3, $12 just on parking. Like, I could use that money to buy coffee, something else, and that's like what's really irritating me is that I need to pay every time I go here for parking. Like, sorry, I'm just checking my messages. So that's where I'm at. I just wanted to make this video because I was looking for like someone else's personal experiences with this whole, I don't know what you call it, like this whole situation, I guess. Just because I feel like it would have been more comforting to know what somebody else went through or like what their experience was like. I would say I had a rather pleasant experience. Like, it wasn't horrible. I had great doctors. I had great support. I don't know. Like, Smilo Cancer Center is a really great, just a great place. Like, it's not depressing. They're really friendly. They always try to make you feel accommodated and make you feel good. So I'll probably vlog during my radioactive iodine therapy isolation, a couple days. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more updates on living without a thyroid or papillary carcinoma carcinomas. I guess that's my last word. So yeah, thank you for watching.